The early Made by Google event this year felt like a play to get ahead of one particular fruit company, and now that the iPhone 16 series has been unveiled, to less than usual fanfare, it proves, or somewhat proves, that Google was right to bring forward the Pixel 9 launch. But let's delve into the how and the why. Before I really get into it though, how about you subscribe to the channel, as I want you to be part of our growing community, which is now standing at over 300,000, so that you don't miss out on deep dives just like this. If you want even more 9 to 5 Google, including our latest Mars wallpaper pack and even some behind the scenes stuff on how our videos are made, then hit that join button and learn more about what we're offering. I'll be thrilled to have you. So if we're all upfront and honest about ourselves, I think it's very unlikely that the Pixel will ever reach that same mass market appeal as the iPhone. If you think that was a gut punch, hold tight, because we're going to lay some things out before we really get into some of those recent good decisions from Google and the Pixel series. Whether it was the late entry into the premium space or some misfires in the early phases of the Nexus and the Pixel lineup, it means at this point in time, Google has a literal mountain to climb to get remotely close to the sales figures boasted by Apple execs. A complete 180-degree turn needs to occur in every single global market because, well, the latest 3% total US market share over the past 12 months is a literal drop in the ocean when compared to the sales of rival brand devices. Samsung is the world's biggest smartphone maker, and the Korean tech giant can't even boast the world's most sold individual smartphone. Heck, of the 10 devices or top 10 devices sold in the last year, a version of the iPhone is found in spots 1 through 7. Yes, you heard me correctly. Only 3 budget Android-powered Samsung phones make up the remainder of the top 10, and that's according to the latest figures from Counterpoint Research. The most popular phone in the world isn't even the most well received. It's not even the phone you probably thought it was. In 2023, it was the base iPhone 14, not the Pro, not the Plus, the regular iPhone 14. So with that in mind, the Pixel 9 has somewhat felt like a if you can't beat them, join them iterative take on what is by far and away the most popular smartphone lineup on the planet. Google has taken some creative liberties, of course. It has sharper edges, uniform bezels, and even the G logo at the back of the phone has been increased in size. I think that's possibly to mimic the large Apple logo you'll see on many an iPhone. Oddly, making the Pixel more closely aligned makes it more enticing to the people that Google wants to take note of its improved hardware. The Cupertino inspiration actually started way before these physical changes as well. You'll often hear a lot of people refer to the Pixel series as the iPhone of Android, which personally I think diminishes the actual hardware a little bit. Even so, the shift from utilising off-the-shelf components like the chipset to the Tensor chip shows that Google wants to at least learn from the path that Apple navigated and carved out in the smartphone hardware space. I, like you, was really worried that by following the leader, Google would diminish and devalue the Pixel 9. The Pixel 6, the Pixel 7 and Pixel 8 have been really well received despite lots of foibles of their own, but to the surprise of just about everyone that has used or even reviewed the Pixel 9 series, I think taking cues and inspiration from Apple has really worked. When we start to look at the macro picture, the average buyer clearly doesn't care as much about the latest and greatest as we, the tech media and tech fan, does. Even so, as there always is, there's a buzz around and it builds around iPhone launch season. What's interesting is the fallout of this event and how this actually is going to affect the Pixel moving forward. For the first time in a while, the entire Apple Glow Time event felt really lackluster. It could have even been an email. You know the deal by now. Apple likes to do things like repackage existing functions and put their own spin on a few of these things. The biggest reveal is a new hardware button for the camera. Sony's Xperia series actually springs to mind right away because, well, this isn't a new piece of tech, it's just a different take. Lots of the AI functions that were detailed and fawned over at WWDC were also highlighted here. To me though, I think this is the first sign that Google's earlier than usual Pixel launch was calculated, planned, and less rushed than we maybe gave the Mountain View firm credit for. We know that Google has made great strides in AI over the past few years. First with Bard, but now rebranded as the mostly ubiquitous Gemini. Gemini is bleeding into more and more places. It's powering experiences, services, and applications where the assistant probably wasn't capable and would never be capable without major changes. You could easily argue that the Pixel lineup serves as a tip of the spear to drive Gemini into more palms, more places, and more useful areas where AI can be applied. Gemini Live is another bonus, as it's going to hopefully be the next generation assistant that we've expected and sort of hoped for a few years now. And it isn't limited to the Pixel. but the subscription required to access the service is bundled in with every Pixel 9, 9 Pro, 9 Pro XL and the 9 Pro Fold for 12 months once a device is activated. That's important because for all the bluster and fanfare, no iPhone 16 device will launch with Apple Intelligence features pre-installed. Yes, you heard that correct. That's because they will ship with iOS 18 installed rather than iOS 18.1, and it's going to be delayed in some regions, and a lot of areas are not going to get these features. Something, or at least a criticism, that's levelled at Google. Of course, Google may have shipped last year's Android 14 operating system pre-installed on the Pixel 9 series, but Gemini and the AI functions that they touted are all packed into this update, and it'll likely improve with Android 15.2, which is, as we last looked at, is due in a few weeks. Google even powers one of the new functions on the iPhone 16 itself. Visual search is basically native Google Lens on iOS, something we've had for a long time now, but it proves that even Apple needs to rely on Mountain View to access the biggest and best data sets. Even the demo that showed this felt really unrealistic or forced, something that has again been levelled at lots of other brands out there. Where Apple has its undoubted chipset supremacy, Google has AI supremacy in the mobile sector. From a pure hardware perspective, Tensor's by no means the most powerful in traditional sense, but it can process AI faster and tackle machine learning tasks without really breaking a sweat. At the early Made by Google launch, all of the AI demos were performed live on actual Pixel hardware, warts and all. The confidence to do this with hardware that is technically not even as powerful as last year's best Android flagship chip hints that Google has the perfect playbook for this specific moment in time. Over the past few years, I've been guilty of comparing, well, Apple's to Google's. The Tensor chipset shift apes what happened way back in 2010 with the iPhone 4, ending on the semiconductor reliance on Intel from Apple's side. With AI now playing a key role in smartphones moving forward, even more so than ever before, Google is really intent on showing Apple how it's done. The optics of a less than stellar reaction to an iPhone launch really shouldn't be understated or lost either. The iPhone 16 series will no doubt be the biggest selling device of the year by quite a hefty margin, but Google will be buoyed by the decision to go out early and set down a marker, especially as AI is, as they see it, the future. We all know that first mover advantage doesn't always seed success in the smartphone space, and given the enhanced focus on AI over the past 18 months, Google is really flexing its muscle as the only company that is actually capable of tying up all of these various strings into a neat and now powerful bow. Aiming squarely at the consciousness of the end-of-year smartphone buyer, the Pixel 9 series has gained more plaudits, and at least judging by the recent online reaction, people are starting to take notice. The consensus appears that Apple whiffed the tee shot. By contrast, Google hit a nice solid drive straight down the middle of the fairway and into safety. While the Pixel 8 series was good, we now have the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which is an improvement over its predecessor. We have a better Pixel Watch, major improvements to the Pixel 9 series, and I think the entire lineup is filled to the brim with products that don't necessarily come with an asterisk on them as to whether someone should consider them, like maybe they will have done in the past. In the grand scheme of things though, this barely registers a win for lots of other brands out there. Will we ever see mass market appeal for the Pixel lineup to tackle that US duopoly of Samsung and Apple? Well, who knows, but going out early actually allowed the Pixel to stand alone this year and not directly in Apple's shadow. And for me, I think that is a big win for everyone, and especially Google. Let me know though if you agree with this take. I think this is something I mulled over and thought about, and I think it's a net benefit for the entire Android ecosystem wholesale. We have lots of excellent phones out there, and I'm super excited by what 2025 will bring, especially if we get Samsung, OnePlus, Oppo, Xiaomi and more pushing Google and Apple to make better devices, and everybody firing on all cylinders. All that's left for me to say is thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a different video, and I also want to say thanks to our channel members on screen now. You're legends, I appreciate you very much. But until next time, I will speak to you later.